Hello, good day to everyone. So today we're going to start on concept of a database. So these are things that basically you need to know related with database subject. So we will break the video into short video. We'll explain on the first one concept, and then in terms of the design of the database, where we design you have three level of data model, and then once you have designed a database, then we will go into the implementation of a database in terms of creation table, insert data, and create query. Okay, so let's go to the first thing, which is the concept of a database. Okay, so first, what is a database? Okay, database is a place for you to store data. We can say it's like a container, a place where you put in data. So the shape of a database, it must be in terms of this shape, which is cylinder. Okay, cylinder. It cannot be circle, it cannot be rectangle, it cannot be triangle, it cannot be other shape. It has to be cylinder. Okay, right. So we will place our data inside a database. Okay, it can be any data. You can imagine it's like a warehouse, IKEA warehouse, for example, where you put in all data inside a database. Okay, so a data base, base for data, a place where you keep data inside. Okay, so next is number two, we'll go into design. Okay, design of a database. So design means that before we can implement a database, before we can create a database using database software, we have to design it first. All right, software. Okay, database software. Okay, so we have the lowest one is Microsoft Access. We have MySQL. We have Oracle. We have Postgres SQL. Yeah, we have NoSQL and so on, different types. So for our course, we are going to use Oracle to implement our database. So let's first start with design. Okay. Okay, so design, when we say design database, we term it as entity relationship diagram. ERD. Okay, entity relationship diagram. So it is a relationship between entities. So it means that when you design, it will be more than one entity. So first, let's understand the concept of the design element. So the elements of design or ERD. Okay, the element of the ERD, the first one is entity. So what is entity? So entity is drawn in rectangle shape, and then you put in the name of the entity inside here. Okay, name of entity. So what is entity? Entity is anything like human or things or system or anything. Okay, anything that you want to store data with. So we can define it as entity. Just you have to remember that the data that you want to store, it must be more than one, then you can identify it as an entity. If your data that you're going to store is just one data or one record, so might as well you do not need to create that as entity, because you are just wasting the capacity of the workstation, okay, or the capacity of the storage. All right, so for example, let's look at scenario. Usually database is related with a system, so we have a database, okay, that we will link with a system. Okay, so in this system or apps, okay, usually we will have to have data, any data. Okay, it's either we fill in form, Okay, or it's either we display data, but it is related with data. So when it relate with data, data is not stored in the system, but data will be stored in the database. So that is how database is needed whenever you develop any system. All right. Okay, so come back to the design just now. The first element of the design, or the first element of ERD, is entity. Okay, so it relates with a system. Let's say we have student information system. Okay, you are developing a system called student information system. Okay, so basically what data that you will store? So obviously you will store data about student. Okay, you will store data about lecturers, because the system is about student information system. So you want to show the student who are the lecturers that teach that student. So lecturer. Okay. And then you will store about course. You will store about program. Okay. What else? You will store about, let's say, what else? Department. Okay. Okay, take it simple. So let's say we are going to store these five information. So how many students that you have? It will be more than one. Okay, it will be more than one. So this one can be identified as entity. How many lecturers that you have in a university? So you will have more than one lecturers. So lecturer can be identified as entity. How many courses? You have more than one courses. You have more than one program. Program means like BIT, Bachelor in Information Technology. You have Bachelor in Computer Science. You have Bachelor in Computer Science of Cybersecurity. Yeah, you have Diploma in IT. So these are programs. Courses, what are courses? Courses are subjects. So of course we have many. Okay, department, usually lecturers or programs or student are attached under certain department. So usually we will have more than one department. For example, um, faculties. Okay, for example, faculty or IT or HR, for example. Okay, so whenever you have data more than one, you can identify it as entity. Okay, so let's draw. So student information system. So it is identified as the entity. So name the entity student. Okay, student. All right. So and then the first one is entity. So it can be student, it can be a lecturer. Yeah, for example. Okay, let's take it student first, and then second element is attribute. Okay, what is attribute? Attribute is the characteristic of entity. Okay, what is characteristic of entity? It means that what does elements or no characteristics that the student have. So in it is drawn in ellipses, and you put the name of the attribute inside the ellipses. All right. So for example, taking our student here. So student, what are the characteristics of student? So student has name, student has ID, student has age. Okay. And then connect with the entity. So you have to connect from the entity to the attribute. Connect the entity to the attribute, connect the entity to attribute. All right. So now you have one entity named student, and what are the characteristics of a student, or what are the attributes of student? So student has ID, student has name, student has age. Okay. So now the term design means that you have more than one entity. For example, when we look at this identification, we have five entity that makes up the student information system. Okay, so now let's create another entity and connect them. So second entity is lecturer. Okay, drawn in rectangle. Okay, so what are the attributes of a lecturer? So lecturer also has name, Okay, lecturer has also a staff number, okay, drawn in ellipses, and lecturer has age, okay, for example. Okay, so we have created two entities, right? So let's link them. So draw a proper, so we have student just now that we have identified, and then we have name, we have student ID, and we have student age. Okay, and we have another entity just now. We have identified lecturer, right? And then lecturer, just now we identified lecturer has name, lecturer has staff number, and then lecturer has age. Okay, so we have two entities with two separate attributes. All right, so the third element is relationship. It is drawn in diamond shape, and you name the relationship inside the diamond. So in this case, we will draw a diamond in between the entity, and you connect them. All right, this is to show that yes, that here we have a simple ERD diagram, entity relationship diagram. So you have to name the relationship name. So student taught by. Okay, usually we will read from left to right. Okay, from left to right. So the relationship name should be from left to right. So for example, student taught by lecturer. If you put lecturer on the left side, you can put lecturer teach student. Okay, so beware of that. All right, so usually for entity, you use noun. Okay, for relationship, okay, the diamond shape, you use verb. Okay, you use verb. All right, so in this example we have two entity, student and lecturer, and we have the attributes of student, which are name, ID, and age, and we have the characteristics or the attributes of a lecturer, which are name, staff number, and age, and they are related because they are connected by a relationship diagram, no, a relationship symbol drawn in diamond, and the relationship name is taught by. So student taught by lecturer. Okay, so the fourth element is the cardinality. What is cardinality? Cardinality is the ratio of records between the entities. Okay, between the entities, the ratio. For example, you have 1 to 1 relationship. Okay, we write it as 1 ... 1. Okay, and that is the first one. Second one, we have 1 to many relationship, so drawn right as 1 ... M, so M shows many, and we also have many to many relationship, we draw it as M relationship. Okay, this is to show the ratio between one entity with another entity. So for example, okay, so we have this entity, okay, student, and we have another entity, okay, lecturer. Okay, so let's say name the data. So we have the data. So the first is, let's say, Tarmizi, okay, the student name. Second is Avinash. Third is let's say, we have Nicole, for example. Okay, student. And we have lecturer, we have Hazlina, we have Nurbaya, we have Nur Anis, lecturer. Okay, so let's look at the first one, which is one-to-one relationship. Okay, so what does this mean? This means that a record on one entity must and only must connect to one record with another entity that they have the relationship with. So in this example, student and lecturer are connected, and it means that they have the relationship with, right? So for example, but it must be only one record. Okay, for example, for the first one, Tarmizi is taught by Hazlina, right? It is one to one. So Avinash is taught by Norbaya, Nicole is taught by Nor Anis. So one to one. It's like example, home tuition, one to one relationship. Okay, we write it as one, sorry, one student taught by one lecturer. Okay, we write it that way. Okay, so for second one to many, it means that one student can be taught by more than one lecturer. So Tarmizi is taught by Hazlina. Tarmizi is also taught by Norbaya. Tarmizi also taught by Dr. Anis. All right. So that is what it means by one to many. So in this example, for example, one student is taught by many lecturer. Okay. So the next one is many to many. Many to many means that Tarmizi, one student can be taught by many lecturer. One lecturer can teach many students. So Hazina also teach Avinash. Hazina also teach Nicole. Norbaya also teach Tarmizi. Norbaya also teach Nicole. Okay. So in this example, we put it many to many this way. Okay. So now we have a complete ERD diagram. So we have the entity, Allahu Akbar, sorry. So we have entity, we have two entity here. Okay, we have two entity here. Okay, we have two entity here. We have attributes, second element. So we have attributes drawn in ellipses. Right, the third element, we have relationship. The fourth element, we have the cardinality. Okay, next element, which is number 5. This is number 4, yeah. So number 5, we have primary key. We term it as PK. And then number 6, we have foreign key. Okay, we term it as FK. This one, we will continue in next video. Okay.